So, DC here. Hi, guys and gals. Well, it's lunch break and it is Thursday. As usual, I hope you're all well. And it's been a really warm few days over here. It's in the 30s, and well, not quite, but tomorrow they're talking about 34 Celsius, which is going to be warm. Probably one of the warmest days we've had this summer up to now. And I'll be taking a day off, so yeah. Anyway. So, what we chat about today? I thought I'd talk about one thing that would follow up on a video I spoke about the other day about channels on television when we were kids. And I won't talk about television, but just take this out. I can hear myself talk better. I was thinking about, when I was a kid, I was living in a border town. Well, almost. I was born on a real border town, a place called Abercorn. And I mean, you could just look across the river basically, and that was America. And on our side of the river, so to say, was in Canada. Now, having said that, when I was a young boy, the border was just kind of there. You know what I mean? It was like, yeah, of course it was Canada and there was the United States, but people just crossed over, they got married, and the firemen helped each other, and you went to the stores over in the States, because the town closest to where we were was called Richford. It had more stores than probably the small one where we were, and so I remember my mom telling me that, they went and they would go like to the optician over in Richford, and the glasses and everything. And in today's world, you wouldn't even be able to think about that very much, at least not in America and Canada anymore now, because it'd be just too complicated since 911. And I was just thinking about that, as how things have changed. Over here in Europe, the borders are pretty much open. They were closed for this virus thing, but overall, people are still doing things like that. But how it changed when we were over there. I mean, I've said that in videos before and other times. The United States was kind of like our backyard. We would go to the lake. I mean, Lake Champlain had a part of it in Canada, but we would go to St. Albans almost every weekend with the family and end up there. Everybody would go, and on my mom's side, they would go a lot in New York State, to Lake Carmi, and they'd go camping. So there really was just kind of like, it was just the way it was. We would, somebody's coming somewhere. No, I can see him. We would actually go a lot to Lake Menfra-Magog, which is a lake which also has a border. One side is America, one side is Canada. And then we would probably take the boat down to Newport, and so Newport, Vermont, and go, to there for shopping. And when I used to live in a place called Sherbrooke, we would go to the movies regularly. And as kids, Richford, Vermont had a drive-in theater. Some of you might even remember that. Yeah. So drive-in theaters were the big thing then, weren't they? And I remember going and seeing Yogi Bear and different movies. And we had a station wagon. And you can see how things were different. I mean, the kids, we'd be all dressed up already in pajamas. And my dad would, put down he would put down the back part of the station wagon. And, we might even be lying down when we'd be coming back or stuff like that. So, it's just so amusing to think about that. I mean, first off, we weren't tied into the car as kids are today. And we'd be driving across borders, sleeping in a station wagon. You can't even think about doing something like that today. I mean, just right off, I mean, you'd get a fine because the kids weren't tied up and so on. Some things are just so different, aren't they? One of my first videos, I talked about my cousin, where they lived in Connecticut, and he brought us a whole series of ice cream that we couldn't get in Canada, so all flavors and so on. And he had probably packed them with dry ice or something. He just drove from Connecticut all the way to southern Quebec bringing us. I don't know how he crossed the border, but anyway, and again, it was probably no big deal. But bringing that ice cream for family members. And when you think about it, this was extended family members. I mean, he wasn't bringing it just for the grandparents or what. He was bringing it like for aunts and uncles. There was this sense of community. It was really pretty fantastic, wasn't it? I mean, he gave me at the time. He'd given me his BB gun. Oh goodness, you remember BB guns? I don't even know if you can still buy things like that now. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty much the good old days. Yeah. And when you lived on a border town like we were, there was a lot of bilingualism then. I mean, so English and French speaking. People got along pretty well. I say pretty well. Like my dad and mom, they got married, didn't they? But there was always this thing, depending on what age you were. Later on in life in Quebec, it became a big issue if you were French or English speaking. But then, I mean, yeah, there were the language wars or what a little bit. You'd have the gangs. Like I remember when I was a kid in school, you'd have fights in the street, the kids, between the English school and the French school. But overall, there was a very good community spirit. Living in a town, it's not even the question of being on a border town, but the fact that you were on a border town, there was always, I mean, this kind of almost a love-hate relationship with the other side of the border, because of course America was the big brother, and a lot of things were cheaper then. I think it's probably still the case now, but I mean, people would go over and gas up and stuff like that. One of my uncles did that up to probably, I wonder if he still does it, And yeah, there was just something about that. You never thought, I almost never thought it was like another country, because of, I mentioned last time, the American television and everything, that, when there was a Pledge of Allegiance or stuff like that, we kind of took it for granted. It was almost like part of our own. And it's only since 9/11 all of a sudden that it became another country somehow. Canadians, and especially from my part of the woods in Canada, people would go to the States all the time for vacations and so on. And so, yeah, when things changed like that, there was a certain divorce. There were certain towns that had buildings on the border, I mean, really on the border. One side of the house was in the States. One side was in Canada. Yeah, just thinking about that makes me kind of feel sad, about the way things have evolved. And it has nothing to do with today's politics, okay? We're just talking about, it was a terrorist act that came and basically changed the whole world paradigm at one point. Yeah. Okay, anyway. Tell me if you've had any experiences like that. Maybe it's be with other countries or something like that. You tell me about it. I'm up to 8 minutes. I'm going to stop here. So, DC signing off. Take care, everybody, and hope you're all well. Tomorrow is Friday, and I have a day off.